Of the Fujitsu, I would like to welcome Jörn Nitschmann. Welcome, Jörn. Have a nice seat.
Hi.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
have you
having me
here. And you heard some speeches now. Now
Already,
it's your
yes.
turn. Do it better.
Okay, even better. So, yeah, thanks for the audience and thanks for the opportunity to present here today. So I work for Fujitsu. I'm the head of digital transformation unit here in the DACH region. So that's Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And I'm going to present you some slides about our artificial intelligence solution that we are now testing at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, actually beginning 2 years ago. And my colleague is going to have some presentations also on the booth that we are showcasing around here. So you see some nice pictures, and we heard a lot about sustainability already, and you see the north slope here in the beautiful Eifel region. So not only Bilsterberg is nicely located, with a lot of trees and nature all around, so you can see what's happening all around in the Eifel region. So when we started talking from a Fujitsu, and you would assume that Fujitsu is going to be just an IT service provider, infrastructure provider for PCs, notebooks, servers, storage, and all kind of services. We were talking to the Nürburgring about digitization topics all around seat optimization during the COVID situation, to get more people on the grandstands and so on and so on. And then the guys from the Nürburgring approached us and said, hey, we want to start and make the track of the Nordschleife even safer. And you know that there are many accidents happening over there during the tourist drive, track days, and all other stuff. And they said, okay, race driving is not that big issue. The big issue is that we're having the longest racetrack in the world, like 21 kilometers across the nice region in the Eifel. And obviously, we don't have enough track marshals to supervise the track during public track days and stuff like this. So during races, that's a different story. You got track marshals all around, you got safety personnel all around, and they want to step into the next 100 years of the Nürburgring. You know that there will be 100 years in 2 years from now, and so that's what they decided, to make it safer all around, to bring it into the next generation of track safety. And they agreed to implement a test cluster. And this is where we came into play. They asked us, okay, what can we do with the pictures that we are generating all around the track? How can we bring accidents to the race control, inform the drivers that are behind, being warned by LED panels and stuff like this. So this is what we did, that we started exactly this discussion, and you see it in the next couple of slides. So what had been the issues? So the first issues had to be that we have to recognize the different objects that are on the track in the test cluster. So you see cars, you see motorcycles, and we obviously had to figure out, are there people somewhere standing around where they should not be around, like in front of the guardrails, in front of the fences? Are the track marshals in place? If they are there people on the track? And you know, for example, motorcycle drivers on the motorcycle is a good idea, and a motorcycle driver beside his motorcycle, something went different. So therefore we had to learn and work on the AI solutions over here to start it from the scratch and say, okay, the first issue is to be really, really safe to the detection of the various object types that we having on the track. Then the next issue was that we clearly had to handle the weather in the Eifel. Everybody knows it might be foggy, it might be raining, there might be spray on the track. And the other part is, okay, get the track in place, have a safe detection of the cars, of the motorcycles, of everything that's running on the track over there. And that was a perfect condition. You can see it here. Antonius Bucher and the other parts of the track here, it's really long distance of the camera pictures. In the test cluster, the guys decided to have 8 cameras running to start the observation of the track more safely. And this is what we achieved so far, that we were able, even in worse conditions, to see what's happening. And how are we doing this? So the interesting part about the story is that we do a segmentation of the track, that we tell the system, okay, we have on the one side, we have grass, we have curb, we have guardrails, we have fences, and so on and so on. And even say, learn to the system where it's okay to have a car on track, or is it a slow car, is it a car hitting the barriers or whatever, and trigger the alarms. So because this is the target or the aim of the project, to have a better race control in place during the public track days and track days of the industry when they are testing on the Nordschleife, like 40 industry partners are testing there heavily for their next generation cars, even for cars for the future, electric cars or whatever. But sometimes they are all alone on the full-length track of 21 kilometers on the Nordschleife. And therefore, it's really essential to train the system and make it really, really safe in all of the segments. So this is the work that we are doing together with the guys from the Nordschleife and the Nürburgring. Did the segmentation, and you see in the different colors that we did the kind of masking, where you can say, okay, this is okay, this is not okay, this will trigger an alarm, a yellow flag, a red flag, or whatever. So what we achieved so far, and you can see it interestingly in these pictures here, that was an accident that happened, unfortunately, during some test drives of the long-distance races at the Nürburgring. I think it was a kind of preparation for the 24-hour races, actually. And you can see that we visualized it even in a 2D visualization screen here for the race control as well, that you can see that the alarm is triggered on the left-hand side of the picture when the car is entering exactly the green. Yeah, the light of the car switches into greens, from green into yellow. So yellow flag would be the next following signal to the track marshals that will trigger the alarm. And of course, at the end of the segment, you can see that the car will turn into red, so that something severe happened and the car is hitting the barriers. So it's hitting an area of high danger for the drivers and of course for everything that's around. So this is what we did so far, and this is what you can even see on the pictures, that the masking is now longer. So the red part of the picture on the right-hand side, you can see that the Nürburgring safety guys decided to bring more tires over there as a bumper, yeah, for the real race some weeks later. Yeah, so that was the outcome after they reviewed the pictures as well. So you can see what's happening on the system. The alarm is triggered properly when the car is entering the grass, is leaving the track and then hitting the barriers. So this is what's happening in the system all along. So in the next step was, okay, what's next? What's next? Because you know that most of the accidents are happening actually after the first accidents happening, when people are getting off their cars. High-speed cars are running up without any warning and running into the accident. So this is really essential that we then, after an accident is happening, that the emergency unit is distributed to the track, that the people are saved, and of course there are speed limits afterwards, so yellow flags waved virtually on the LED panels for the following traffic on the track. So we can see it here, what's running up after these heavy accidents during these test drives. You can see that the system is now detecting standing cars on the track, so they are red boxes, so the system will call the track marshals, hey guys, there are slow cars or even standing cars on the track where they should not be, but in this case, obviously it's okay, so the track marshal can decide, okay, this action is fully okay. Even the emergency personnel and track marshals on track are okay, like the doctors and so on. And you can see that the system is always detecting everything that's all around. So that's the target of the system. What we wanted to achieve all along the whole long story that we are now planning and rollouting at the Nürburgring. Because as you can tell, the full length of the track is 21 kilometers and even more if you add the Grand Prix track. So the nice thing is that we have to overcome these hurdles of detecting different object types, of different track types and so on. And as mentioned, in this test cluster, we have 8 cameras running, and we did the first outcomes out of this and have to handle different situations and even have to identify the cars that are running through the camera clusters. And you can tell that the Nürburgring is having during these test drives, or at least public track days, 700 cars on the track at the same time. Yeah, but they don't have any transmitters, any GPS devices on board when the people are driving there with their private cars. So this is really essential that we can put forward some IDs to the cars and connect it to the system and say the car is in the safe zone, the car is entering the track, is leaving the track, and so on, and where it is on the track. Yeah, even count them and so on for future use cases. And you see the long straight of Döttinger Höhe here, where the cars are running in really, really high speed. And exactly these pictures were taken during this preparation races for the long distance races like 24 hours at Nürburgring as well, where the cars are running through this segment of cameras in a really high speed. You see that the picture is not fluent, yeah, but this depends on the pictures and the frames that we are getting, like 3 pictures or frames per second. So this is sufficient for the identification and so on, to the limitation of data that we are using. So you can see that every car is getting an ID running through this camera sector, and after this achievements we got in the test cluster, we are now moving on into the full course ahead. Like they assume they will need another 100 cameras all along the track, yeah, to be presented there, and make use out of these camera things and put the detection on. Another issue is that we said, okay, that what's also is essential for this kind of warning and track marshalling system, or add on to the system, is to detect anything that's not normal. And usually, you know, any kind of smoke is not really normal on a track, or should not be there, yeah. That always comes back with some brake failures or liquids that are running out, and so on and so on. And this is why we're training the system also on any kind of debris, smoke, or whatever. And you can see it once again with the pictures here. After the driver is losing his talent, or the part of the road, yeah, he's running out of track actually, because he's losing this car. So the alert is triggered, and you see it like the action mark here. Okay, smoke, there's something happening. If the video would run, you would see that the guy is running really heavily into the barriers, yeah, afterwards. But therefore, it could be a speed limit that could be triggered to the LED panels on the way back, and did a warning for the drivers coming up, running up to this accident place, and say, okay, there's a code 60, code 80, or whatever. Please slow down. Please don't overtake, because an accident had happened. So that's really essential, that the system is learning all along during these test cluster things that we are doing over here. So as we learned the presentation just before that we heard of Mr. Warnecke, yeah? So this is really essential that we make life better of the people on track, and of course the life better in the track marshals, or on the track safety team all around. So therefore, even these kind of measures play a role around the sustainability goals of the UN Charter. Yeah, you want, because we are applying digital solutions that we know out of the industry into exactly this field of automation and digitalization, where we connect this virtual world, or things that we are doing at Fujitsu in the industry, like the manufacturing or car industry, to this kind of track infrastructures. So if you can see these pictures, or can tell by the pictures, really interesting. If a person is running all around in a production site where robots are building some cars or whatever, you can use exactly this technology to avoid accidents over there. What we are doing here, avoiding any kind of influence that is happening over there. So the aim is to make this 21 kilometers even safer in the Eifel, and of course applying it to different race courses all along. So we are already in discussion with a nice venue over here, the Bilsterberg. So they just decided to do a POC with us, a proof of concept, to apply it to some kind of the cameras on track here and make it safer as well. You know that the purpose of the track is somehow different, like the Nürburgring. So we have no races over here, no real races usually, but more track days, test drives, and stuff like this. And they are running with only a few people, yeah, and to avoid and improve the situation over here as well, we are going to apply this kind of solution of track safety based on AI solutions as well, and apply this kind of object detection all along, and also make use of the LED panels that all around, just to trigger alarms and make it a little bit safer in means of yellow flags, red flags, and so on. So a long story cut short, yeah. it would be really interesting to see how it goes on with like 100 cameras, because we have to scale this kind of solution to this kind of long track in the Eifel. That would be the most challenging one, I would assume. We have to take care about any kind of debris on the track. So there will be a long list of challenges that we are going to face. So we won't be replacing any kind of already existing race controls or marshalling system that's all around it. We see it just like a feature to add it on to existing systems and connect it, and make the world a little bit safer and more easier to use for everybody who is in this kind of industry. And you can see that it's fully unusable for a company like us at Fujitsu. Yeah, we are heavily engaged in any kind of race sports, like long distance races with the Toyota Gazoo Racing. We are supporting the UPT team at the DTM series and so on. And the purpose of Fujitsu is to do it in this area of digitization, to apply new technologies, to support the development of new transitions into the e-fuels or hybrid engines or whatever, or electrification of this race tracks. So that's really interesting, to connect the real world with the future of the industries and the future usage of the different topics here. So that's our purpose at Fujitsu, to make the world a little bit more sustainable, to apply it, to lower the carbon footprint and so on and so on. So this is why we connect this kind of high dense and high speed race engagements with our technology that we are having at Fujitsu. So if you want to learn some more about the smart solution that Fujitsu is applying to all of the industries, even the virtual world like metaverse or whatever, or running data centers more efficiently than before, please come and visit us in Düsseldorf and Stuttgart in the next couple of weeks, where we have our smart solution days, or even in the front with our showcase and our booth here at Bilsterberg, because we can present and give you some insights what we are doing at Fujitsu as well. So thank you for the audience, and thank you for the opportunity to present here today. Thanks.
Yeah. For me personally, I would have to say that I know for quite a long time Fujitsu as a kind of a printer and a copy company, something like that. And I was a bit surprised about the fact that you were here and that you presented us this one. For me personally, there's one question left. Do you think in the near future or in the middle future we will race against race cars without a driver? Is artificial intelligence that strong that it could be possible?
And so it's always a topic that's really interesting to discuss. Where will be the difference? So on the one hand side, we are heavily investing and applying solutions in the autonomous driving industry and any kind of the mobility segments over there. I think there is a fair chance that it might be happening. But on the other hand side, there's always a trade-off. You need high compute power to do so. You have to reflect the latencies. You know that there had been already tests to connect the virtual world and the real race tracks during real races, even on Nordschleife for 24-hour races or whatever. But this is really hard to say, what will happen with this kind of artificial drives. I believe that in the near future we will see autonomous cars, autonomous transport systems running between, let's say, an airport or the train station with very fixed routes where it will be much safer and direct routing and so on, or on long distance connection like the Autobahn running from Hamburg to Berlin or from Hamburg to Munich, for example. I think that's going to happen in the future. But on the other side, there will be hopefully still cars being driven by real people. So that's also my belief that it would take a while. But on the other side, I think artificial intelligence and any kind of digitalization topics will help to make the world a little bit safer and do some more prediction, or let's say, give help and advice to the people sitting in the car and improve their lives like we see it all day when you do with a speed limiter on, or let's say distance control or all kind of stuff. Yeah.
But isn't that the emotion and that's the fun of driving a car, doing everything by yourself, not sitting in a car and just otherwise I would say I could sit in a train
I,
and let somebody else do something, probably a computer or an artificial intelligence or something like that, but just to do it with yourself.
yeah, I know where you're coming from. So I also belong
I'm
to the...
quite old, sorry for that. Yeah.
Same applies to me. So I'm now 50 years old and know a lot about cars and so on. And it's about the passion driving a car. But I think it's a question of generations as well.
Yeah.
And in the latest generation, it's just more effect about consuming mobility, any kind of mobility, and the factor, is it an Audi, a Porsche, or whatever being driven? That's not that important. It's more about the availability of any kind of mobility getting you from A to B to C. So that's a split and a change in the generations, I would assume. So therefore, yeah, people are changing. That's good on the one hand side, because then we can apply different technologies or apply the best solutions in means of urban mobility in our metropolitan areas to the people, avoiding any traffic jam for search of parking lots or whatever. Or as we just heard, that's really hard to have the sufficient energy stations or fueling stations for all kind of future fuels or hydrogen and whatever. So that I would really prefer if we keep any kind of traffic out of the cities, make it more sustainable for the people living there, and just make use of mobility when you need it, like on-demand models.
We're here at the summit.
Yeah.
We do have the 24 hours here, and we were really happy that you were here. Ladies and gentlemen, a big applause for Jörn Nitschmann.
Thank you.